All right, in this next part, we're going to extend our console application to include if decisions, else statements, whiles, and breaks. The basis of the if statement is that it allows the computer to make a decision. It gives it the ability to change what code it will actually execute. You can give it multiple paths of code to take and make a condition whether or not the user actually entered something, for instance, as to whether or not it will run a section of code. So let's go ahead and start that. Let's say that the user did not enter a name. I'm going to go over here and right after the name, I'm going to say if name dot, and you'll notice here's IntelliSense again showing up, dot length. Length is one of the options that I can get from any string type. So the string length is going to be the number of characters in that string. So if name.length equals 0, if it's 0, that means they didn't type anything in. Let's tell the user something. Console.writeLine, and inside it, you entered no name. And then, as a joke, we're going to say name equals no name. All right, so if they didn't type in anything, their name is now no name. Let's try it. Play. I'll first enter Dan. Enter. Hello, Dan. All right, that works. Play. Drag this over and not enter a name the second time. You entered no name. Hello, no name. All right. So now, that is an if decision. We've basically said if this statement is true. If this statement is true. You'll notice I also use two equal signs here. At this point, I only used one. Anytime we use one, we are telling the code that this variable on the left side will equal whatever happens on the right side. In this case, we're actually saying don't set the variable, don't try to change name.length. Instead, compare them and give us back a true or false statement. It's the same as saying if true. If true, it will always execute the code that is between these two curly braces. But I don't want that. If I said true, I might as well not even have the if statement. In this case, it's a condition. We can test to see if the name was actually entered. But there's a lot more we can do than that. Let's say they actually did enter a name. I'm going to put an else statement down here. We're going to get rid of the joke when we do this as well. So you entered no name or hello name. Those are the two results. If the name has no length, if the name's length is 0, it will tell us this. Or else, it will tell us hello name. Let's try it. What is your name? Dan. Hello, Dan. Hit enter, disappears. Play. Let's try this again. And what is your name? Enter. You entered no name. Doesn't tell me anything else. It made a decision. In one case, it decided to tell me that to execute all this code. If that case wasn't actually true, it would have told me all this code. Now, I'm going to get rid of this else statement. Go back to our little joke level of it. So now it's just checking to see if the name equals 0. It's only going to execute what's in here. We've already seen what this code does. If I don't enter anything, it says hello no name down here. Let's say that the user didn't enter a name and now we want them to. We want to make sure they do. Well, an if statement only executes this code once. A while statement is just like an if statement. It is the exact same thing, except it will call this code, and when it gets to the end, it comes back up, checks this condition again. And if the condition is still 0, or if the condition is still true, it will keep looping this code over and over and over again until this condition is finally false. So, as long as the name's length is 0, it will always tell us, sorry, what was your name? And then I'm going to say name equals console.readline. You'll notice this is the exact same line we had up here. Name equals console read line when we ask them their name. We're just setting the name again. Then it gets back. So when it runs this, it will go back up to the top, check to see if the name is still blank. If it is still blank, it keeps repeating this. Otherwise, it moves on to the next line. This line, where it tells us hello. So let's try this. Play. And what is your name? Enter. Sorry, what was your name? I can keep pressing this as many times as I want to, and I just hold it down, which you can't even see this moving, except this little scroll bar keeps moving down. But as soon as I actually type in a name, hello Dan, the program ends. Because that's all it was waiting for, as long as the name.length became greater than 0. But let's say that we didn't want this to be an infinite thing. Let's only ask them 3 times. If they don't answer by the 3rd time, then we'll just assign them a made-up name. All right. So it'll say, sorry, what was your name? In order to count this, we actually need to have a different type of variable. We're using strings so far that we just hold text. We're going to use something that is a little bit more useful in code, typically. Numbers. I'm going to put this right above the while statement. So in the while statement, right above here, I'll say int. Int is a number. It is a whole number. It goes anywhere from -2 billion to +2 billion, and it can only be numbers without decimal places. So int ask again equals 1. So we're setting the value. You'll notice little green squigglies. It's just telling us that we've created this variable but haven't used it anymore. This has absolutely no effect on the code. So inside of the code, inside of the while loop, I am now going to say if, first off, every time this code repeats, let's increment this. And I should set this to 0. So it starts off at 0. Then I'm going to say if asked again, or sorry, I'll just say asked again equals asked again plus 1. So whatever it was before, it now equals plus 1. So the first time this if statement afterwards is going to run, I'll say if asked again is greater than. Just like the equals equals where we're comparing it, we can use a greater than or a less than sign to compare values and return a true or false. So if asked again is greater than 3, then I'm going to tell the user console.writeLine you entered no name. And we'll go back to our little code joke again. Name equals no name. And then we're going to say break. As soon as I hit the semicolon, it might be a little hard to see, but it's highlighted break and it's highlighted the loop. They're connecting. The code is trying to show us that these are connected. What happens is when we type break, it will not execute any more code inside of this while statement. It will immediately exit it. So it'll get immediately down here to the console write line and skip these. All right, so let's try this out. Play. What is your name? Enter. Sorry, what was your name? Enter. Let's try this a 3rd time. Sorry, what was your name? Enter. You entered no name. All right, so notice it asked us the sorry 3 times. If you only wanted the question asked 3 times, you would have to set this asked again equal 2. Because you've already asked once, now you're asking again. So it's asked again twice. Anyway, you entered no name, hello no name. It's now set your name and you press enter and continue out of the game. All right. So that's our code.